at the board meeting. Okay, what was all that about?
Just said that they're recording it.
Okay, okay. So, and I have a packet for each of you that has your duties as each chairperson. And I'm going to ask, when I give it to you, if you read it, correct it if it needs correcting, and then put it in your folder and please use it. I will make a presentation with Barbara Kaplan. Barbara will do most of it about our scholarship funds, finances, and everything connected with the scholarship fund. So at that, I'm going to just pass on the meeting to Grace. And thank you everyone for voting for me. I'm honored.
Thank you, Jean.
We are blessed.
Yeah, thank you for coming back as president.
Get rid of me. I can be recalled, you know.
Well, do something interesting and then we will recall you.
Good, good, okay.
I don't know what that would be. We'd like to welcome Stephen Brown, who has been at the City College of San Francisco in the Department of Environmental Horticulture and Floristry for 35 years and belongs to every organization of floristry that exists, I believe. He hosted us in 2018 and I remember Jean made us lemon curd at that meeting as well as something baked that was super yummy. But Stephen, we're really happy to have you with us today. But before you start, can I mention, there is a huge garden tour coming up April 2nd and 3rd. It's about 36 gardens. Saturday is from San Mateo to northern Santa Clara County. And on Sunday, it's particularly San Jose down to Gilroy. And it's called the Going Native Garden Tour. I'll put the link in the chat and it's free. And it's gardens of all types. You can look online and see which ones you might like to see. There are a variety of like gardens of acreage, but mostly gardens of more regular size. So a lot of designers have been, a variety of designers have been involved with them. The gardens are new to very old, 15, 20 years. So if you're itching to get out to see some gardens, this is a good event to attend. And I think some of us are going to be docents. I'm going to be docenting in Los Altos. I know Nancy Chardell is a docent somewhere. Oh, you're on mute. Maybe at Marshall Cottle, because she's a master gardener as well.
No, I'm a greeter in Mountain View, one of the mountains.
Okay. Yeah, there's only 2 in Mountain View, so that's very good of you. Yeah, you can go see Gordy's acreage in Monte Sereno. His garden is called the Round Hill. He's got a huge orchard and a huge wildflower meadow. For example, that's one of the gardens. So anyways, and if you're in San Jose, you got a ton of gardens to see on Sunday. And some of them may even be like your neighbors or something. So anyways, Stephen, I'm sorry to have interrupted you, but thank you for joining us. And I guess we'll all switch to active speaker mode to see your screen.
Can you see me?
Yes, thank you.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Good. So thank you very much for having me speak with you today. I miss you guys. I haven't been down there for a long time. So hopefully we'll get through all of this pandemic business and I'll be able to come down again. But I did come and speak a couple of times to your group in the church and I believe I became a member. So I need to renew my membership with you, I guess, right? And I'm glad to do that. You're a great group and I still have the recipe. I don't know if the person who gave this to me is on or not, but I still have the recipe for the pineapple bars that I fell in love with and they're so delicious from one of the meetings that I attended. So today we decided to talk about arrangements, making arrangements from the garden, which is one of my most favorite things to do. I love to just take a vase outside and cut and trim flowers and put them in a vase and make a lovely arrangement to enjoy. It's simple and easy and quick. I do want to say that if you are planning to make arrangements from your garden, cut your flowers in the morning. That's when they're going to be the most full of water. And be sure you water the day before. So 24 hours in advance, give your plants and flowers a good drink. And then they'll hold up better for you when you make your arrangements with them. I want to say too, you know, the possibilities are absolutely endless. So I came up with a few ideas today that I wanted to share with you. And hopefully you'll get some good ideas from this, some good information, and we'll make several arrangements. And what I did was I came to work this morning and I spent about an hour and a half outside just cutting all sorts of things that are available. And I've been planning out arrangements for the last week, and the things that I'll put together for you today are all very fresh. And it's also true that when you cut, you can plan all you want. You can plan your arrangements for weeks and weeks on end. But until you're actually making the arrangement with your plant materials, it's not going to come together. And it may turn out completely different than you had intended in the first place, because we have the pleasure of working with natural materials that Mother Nature grew, and they don't always fit into like an architectural scheme. So that's something to always keep in mind. And don't plan too much, but go with the flow, I guess is a good way to put it. I am really glad that we're able to get out and now a little bit more, and we're able to see each other. So when I cut this morning, I quick dipped everything. I have a container of quick dip right here. This is, and I have to say thank you to Sung Moon, my nursery specialist, who's holding my iPad and guiding your eyes to these products as you see them. This is quick dip. This is what it looks like. It's from the Floral Life company, and it's an excellent product for you to keep in mind because it forces the plant materials to take up water. And just a quick dip, just like that, in a jar of quick dip is going to allow the flowers to take up water, foliage is included, and they will last a lot better for you. I also use a flower food. This product, again from Floral Life, is their new Express Universal. So the Express means that you're not supposed to have to recut the stems before you put your plant materials into preservative solution. So all the vases that I'm working with today are already prepared with the Express Floral Solution. Just follow the directions on the label and you'll be able to add some food to your floral product and use something like this. It doesn't matter if it's this or not, just use some flower food because it helps your flowers last better. So this is one of my favorite containers as far as shape is concerned. And clear glass is what we're using a great deal for many kinds of arrangements. And there's all different shapes and sizes, but this is one of my favorite. And one thing I like about it is the neck of the vase, ginger jar shape, the neck of the vase allows me to add an embellishment like this beautiful violet double-faced satin and wired ribbon. So it has really nice memory. It allows me to add an accessory like this really easily. I just tied it right onto the neck of the vase. So the flowers that I want to use I'm gonna start with red dogwood. We're using this a lot in the landscape. And this doesn't have much of a flower And the foliage isn't so important. It's the red bark of the branch that we really like. Many of you will recognize Meyer's asparagus. And this is a wonderful asparagus fern. I love all the asparagus ferns, but I like this one in particular because it's a lime material, and you can clean the foliage that's going to fall into water with a towel. It's quite easy. By taking the lower foliage off, you get a very spatial look with this. So if you want to abstract it a bit, you can. And then I also have restios. Are you familiar with restios? There's a lot of different kinds. They're becoming very popular as a landscape plant because they are a really good substitute for many other kinds of foliages, but they also are drought tolerant, and they're great for flower arranging. So I've got some nice line. I've got some nice fluff for filler. I need to take a little bit out of this red dogwood. So use my hasamis and do that, and add this to the back of the arrangement just to give some more depth and effect. And what I was going to say here is I didn't use anything from a Canna. And you see that some of the stems are moving around a little bit, but I'm not going to worry about it. I'm going to get all these stems in here, and then I'll fluff it up later. I do feel really lucky that I have, and some of you have been here, I have a lot of plant materials that I can select from. And I do think of it as one of the highest compliments that a gardener can pay to an individual is to allow them to cut in their garden. And I always do it whenever I go into someone's garden. I always keep in mind that I want to cut to prune and not just cut out what I want and go away with it. But when I leave the garden, I want it to seem like I was never there. So I always cut very carefully to prune. You'll recognize Alstroemeria that I'm crushing and smashing with this incredible Scabiosa. Can you see this okay? Scabiosa. Whenever I say Scabiosa, I always think of Hermione from Harry Potter because it sounds like a spell that I'm casting. Scabiosa, or pincushion. So we'll tuck in some Scabiosa. This is digitalis. This is a relatively new hybrid of digitalis called Digiplexus. And something about this is that it holds up really well as a cut material, where foxglove itself doesn't always hold up very well. And digitalis is the original source for heart medicine, digitalis heart medicine. And it's called foxglove because the little florets look like they could be gloves for a fox's foot. So here's what the arrangement's looking like now. Not too balanced or attractive, but now I've got a lot more stems in here, and with one more thing added, this aeonium, which is nice and heavy. It will help support and provide a really nice focal point. This is starting to have a better balanced look, interesting look, and a better shape. I just want to move a couple of stems here. And I love the colors of the branch and the Digiplexus together, and then the Alstroemeria right here in the center, focusing very nicely. This is a seedling of a black acacia. And so it's no longer a seedling, it's now a cutting. And again, I cut it and quick dipped it, put it in water this morning, and the foliage holds up really well. It becomes a very nice filler. And here is Canna. Can you see the green pods and the little bird-like blossoms? But the foliage gets damaged really easy. So it's really easy to just take that off, and I'll add this into the vase. So I provide a really interesting focal point with these pods and with the bright orange flowers. It makes a nice focal point up in the top of the arrangement. So I have some tasteful voids. I think one of the hardest things to know what to do is when to quit with just about any arrangement. And truly, I could have spent all day out in the garden cutting flowers, but I had to stop myself at some point because the day was going by so quickly. But I think a nice vase arrangement like this one can adorn many places in the home and would make a nice gift for a hostess if you want to take it to somebody. So all from the garden. What I would do with this, everybody, is if I needed to change the water, I could just lift this right out of the vase, set it down on the table, change the water, pick it up, recut the stems, drop it back in the vase. And you know what? 9 times out of 10, when I do that, I find that I like the arrangement better than when I start out. This just needs to stay where I want it to. So you talk to your flowers gently, and then they'll do what you wish. You like that? Succulents are the hot ticket item these days because they're impactful. They do really well as vase, in vase arrangements or in mechanics, in oasis. And you can take this out in a week or two when the rest of the flowers are past, plant it in your garden, and you'll be able to regrow it. This is an Aeonium. So here's a vase arrangement for you. Then I have a lot of old containers that I like, and I decided that I had to do something for you in one of our old containers. This is one that many people will recognize because it's an old pottery container. It's from USA Pottery, and I liken it to vases that we even collect today that were once florist vases, like Roseville pottery and Hall pottery. You probably have some in your home, but we have this really pretty, formerly, it's an old-fashioned florist planted garden container, or just a really nice centerpiece container. So what I wanted to do in here is some nice garden flowers, like lavender, hydrangea, and you know, I always get them mixed up. Esther Reed or Cecil Brunner. I get the two mixed up all the time. But this one is, you'll help me. This one is Esther Reed, I believe. And it's a beautiful climbing rose, and it has lots of buds on it. And these hold up well, and they're lovely and fragrant, and they're little. So I chose some of these to add to this arrangement. Hydrangeas are just coming on in the garden. And it used to be that we couldn't use hydrangea for floral arrangements. And then someone, I have no idea who, but someone discovered that if you dip them in alum salt, you get this in the grocery store in the spice section. We use it for pickling because it causes the plant material to absorb water. You can use it on your stems, right when you cut. It's the best time. Get them dipped into alum. And then I'm using, again, just clear water. And the hydrangea is going to work for me to hold these stems in place. Even the foliage, the new growth, will hold up well if you remember to use the alum or quick dip. quick dip will also work to help your hydrangea hold up. So it's given us a whole new crop to work with in the floral industry. Best to use a pruner. And these are my favorites. These are Hasami from Japan, and they work really well for cutting flower stems. I will not start making an arrangement unless I have my Hasamis present. I use a knife a lot as well, but I really like using the Hasami. So here's a couple of heads of hydrangea to start with. And then this is what I like to use my Hasami for. A stick and nip, and then tuck. Tuck, nip, and tuck. So buds or blossoms too. These little buds are going to allow this arrangement to last for a long time because they'll open and develop, and they'll add character and life to this arrangement, and it will be changing every day. So just small flowers here is what I was hoping for and what I trimmed in the garden so that I could make this very practical, not too big, not too expensive, kind of design that we might use on a side table or night table to bring somebody some cheer when they wake up in the morning. This lavender has a lot of fragrance. It's soothing and relaxing, so perfect to put next to your bed, your pillow, someplace where you can smell the lavender. And I trimmed this again in our gardens. It's a little blossom, so it takes a little bit of work to get any kind of show with a flower like this, but it's well worth it because of the fragrance that this has. Lavender has been used for thousands of years. In fact, if you look in the records or look in history books, you'll find that many of them talk about lavender being placed in the tombs of the pharaohs, and the lavender seeds were still viable when the tombs were opened up many thousands of years later, or at least many centuries later. They're still viable, they still have fragrance, they still have essential oil and benefit. So I love to use lavender, especially to freshen the home or to create an atmosphere of relaxation. It's very therapeutic. The foliage is nice too. So we just have to detail this a bit, and we'll add a touch of the lavender foliage in here for a filler material. I do want you to ask questions as we go. If you have any, I'm happy to answer any of them. And while I'm working on this, I also wanted to make sure and tell you about OFAD 2022, and Sung Moon will show you a poster. I can send your organization an email with information about this. It's a flower arranging group that is set up to try to improve communications between all different types of flower arrangers. So we have people that are garden clubs members, garden club arrangers. We have people that are professional florists. We have ikebana specialists and other types of presenters that share information and ideas about arrangements with each other. And we have workshops and programs for an entire weekend. It's August 4 through 7, and it's in South San Francisco. So it may well work for you. Again, I'll be glad to send you the information for that. So here we have an arrangement That's a mille fleur look, perfect little bouquet. You could bind this off and move it to any appropriate size vase that you want to, but this is just a lovely small antique vase with a little cozy type of arrangement in it. So I hope you like that and enjoy the idea of making something like that for your bedside. Wake up with flowers in the morning because it will make your whole day better. Then many floral designers are trying not to use the traditional kinds of mechanics that we've been using in the floral industry. We're reverting back. We're actually reverting back to the old mechanics that we used to use in the floral industry all the time, to things like chicken wire that aren't going to end up in the landfill. And chicken wire is great because we can use it over and over again. So here's another idea that I wanted to present, and that is, this is an oblong container, perfect for a low centerpiece arrangement for an oblong table. And I've just prepared this with chicken wire, and I've used bull tape to hold it in place in this pseudo loaf pan, if you will. It's a loaf-shaped plastic container. So you don't have to use the plastic, but the idea here is you can take a container that you get something like pate in or margarine in, and if it's good looking at all, you could use it over and over. You could use this to drop into a nicer container as well, such as a gravy boat or a silver tray. And it works really well to have a mechanic like this that you can just set in place. But this is a nice looking plastic container. And as long as it is not cracked or anything, it holds water really well, and I can use it over and over. So what I chose for this design is herbaceous plants like this salvia. I almost want herbs. And this is a type of salvia. It has a pretty lavender spike blossom, but when I put this in here, I'm gonna put it through 2 layers, at least 2 layers of the chicken wire. So with this arrangement, I'm sort of channeling Constance Spry, because this is the type of mechanic that they would have used back in the day when Constance Spry was teaching flower arranging at her flower shop and school in England. And she was really one of the modern florists that actually taught flower arranging and had lesson plans to do that, had some ideas for how to teach floral design. And one of the things that was a guideline that came from her is that you angle the stems towards the center. So this is interesting. I love the furry, fuzzy foliage and the silver gray. It has a nice fragrance too. You know, a lot of the salvias you could smoke like marijuana, which is not something that I would want to do, but they do have some CBDs and they're very beneficial for homeopathic remedies. So I'm just tucking in the nice foliage because it fills in this design really nicely. And then I didn't mention earlier, this is hebe. This one is a purple foliaged hebe. And then it will produce little spikes of lavender blossoms. And I love the purple color that it gets, almost an eggplant color. And it holds up really well in water. And I'll use some stems here just to give some length. And what I'm trying to do with this is work from side to side. So I'm creating a balanced effect in the arrangement. So if I put something over here, I'm putting it through 2 layers of chicken wire. Then I need to balance it with something equal as possible over on this side. So I'm working side to side in a diagonal pattern. Whether you're doing this in Oasis or you're doing it in chicken wire or in no mechanics at all, if you keep that in mind, work from side to side in diagonal pattern, in a diagonal pattern, then you'll usually achieve really nice balance and rhythm and flow with your arrangement. Long, low arrangement like this. And you'll be able to make your arrangement so that it's viewable from both sides. So I can turn this around and I check to make sure that it's staying balanced on both sides. I cut these little crassulas in the garden today, and I prepared them while I was listening to your business meeting, which is really quite fascinating. I cut them and prepared them. So all I need to do now is set them in place. But that's where the work comes, that's where the work is. It's just in getting ready. When you start making your arrangements, everything will fall into place and it's soothing and relaxing and therapeutic. It's almost an essential. And actually having plant materials around has truly become more essential for everybody, especially during this pandemic. We've realized even more how important plants and flowers are to us and how much we need to have them around every day. Here's an interesting plant. I don't know where we got it, but this is a green lavender. Have you all seen this? This is a green lavender. And it smells just like lavender, but I've never seen the green flowers on lavender before, because like, aren't lavender flowers supposed to be lavender? So that really knocked me for a loop when I found this in our garden here. So I'm just adding it through and working it in areas where it will really be seen. And then I wanted to experiment with this. Does everybody know what this is? This is rue. And I'm telling you, I'm about to throw it out. It smells like double, triple, maybe 10 times the smell of cilantro. And it smells, I've grown to really like it, but it is a strong scent. And if you don't like the smell, something that you could do is spray it with a 10% solution of Listerine, and that will help settle down that smell quite a bit. So here I'm using my nip and tuck. We all could use a little bit of that now and then. And settling this rue down into the container so it stays in character with all the other things that I've already done. And again, I'm working side to side, end to end, working in a diagonal pattern to add each shape and texture and form throughout the design. You could add materials to this all day long. The nice thing is you've got plenty of room with this mechanic. You're not limited in any way except with how much time you want to spend on it and how long you have to make it. But I really like the look of the rue in here. It's also used for therapeutic purposes, and it attracts beneficial insects to the garden. there's a lot of insects that will feed on root if you want to plant it to attract butterflies. So that was a little bit out of character, so I'm just tucking that down low. And now I have a pretty centerpiece. I could add a couple of candles or set this on a lovely runner, and this would make a really pretty conversation piece for a dining table. Very simple. I hope you like that one. And then I have this prop. It's like a birdhouse or bird feeder, a garden element. It came with its own container. And this one I prepared with Oasis. And to hold the Oasis, I put bowl tape, waterproof tape, and I used the wire fence along the side. I used that to hold this Oasis in place. And what I wanted to do here is work with geraniums. Again, some people don't like geranium fragrance. I actually do. I'm weird that way. But if you don't like the smell of the geraniums, you can always use Listerine, a cap full of Listerine in your bucket for water, and spray, just mist with a 10% solution of Listerine. And that will help with the smell. So I wanted to do the geranium house. So I cut geraniums in our gardens here at City College. I have a mint geranium. This one, it smells like mint, but it has a really pretty variegation in the leaf. So just get rid of all the any damaged leaves and foliage that might have bugs on it. By the way, if you do have the ability to cut things in your garden, just inspect carefully for insects, for bugs like snails and slugs. If you're going to use them for a centerpiece, you certainly don't want them crawling up your guest's water glass in the middle of lunch or dinner, or even breakfast. But be sure you check carefully for any livestock. So we want the foliage to be as good looking as possible, but these things came from our garden, so they don't have to be exactly perfect. We just want it to look as good as we can. So here's some minted geranium. I'm adding them into the container in clear water between the foam and the liner that's there already. That's one thing you can do, but I can also put these right into the foam. And this is a great technique to keep in mind. So tuck, nip it, and tuck. And what that does for you is it helps you refine the use of the material. So I just put that in there almost like it's a plant. And what I want is each plant to radiate towards the central axis. That is actually a technique that we use in floral design. It's called a radiating system. It's placing the materials as though they were growing in a pot or in the garden. And if you do that over and over again, it really keeps a particular arrangement looking very natural. And what we call that in floristry is vegetative. So it looks like it's growing that way. This is the rose geranium. I really like the smell of it. I can have it just growing right up out of the the house. I'm calling this the House of Geranium. And just making up a fun name. So I wanted this to just sort of be a planted container, but obviously we're making an arrangement. And this would be a great way to decorate for a party, quick and easy, nothing too structured. Just mix up your geraniums. And the interesting thing is, with these geranium plants, they do hold up really well for several days. I cut them again this morning. I quick dipped everything and added floral preservative to the water. Before I did that, I used to find when I would try to use geranium foliage, it would turn yellow really fast, like within a day. But with the quick dip and the preservative, I find that it holds really well and lasts for several days. So you see the flowers, the lovely sort of pink lavender blossoms on this rose geranium are quite attractive. They hold up well too. And I think it's the little bit of nourishment, the little bit of carbohydrates that they get from the preservative that makes all the difference. These types of props are really popular these days. And I have several of them. And I can't remember where they came from, but I do know that I've seen them frequently at places like Ross and Marshall's. So they're good things to keep in mind. And you can actually make that a hanging arrangement if you want to. You could keep it simpler, or you could even add some votive candles or battery lights inside to illuminate. So that would be a fun party decoration. But just with the geraniums in there, I thought that was pretty spectacular for foliage and flowers. And these will also grow. They will take root and they'll start growing in this oasis medium. So that was a fun arrangement that I wanted to share with you out of our gardens here. And then I mentioned clear glass already. The clear glass containers, really, really popular right now. And there's a lot of different ways that you can use them. One thing that you can do is use clear bowl tape. This is clear waterproof tape. I bet you can't even see it, but the clear bowl tape puts a grid right on top. This is what it looks like. It almost looks like Scotch tape, but it isn't. I made a grid right across the top to hold the stems I want to put in this arrangement. And what I decided I wanted to do for you is to make a blue arrangement. So I mentioned earlier, there's so many different types of arrangements that we can make, so many different ways that we could go about making the decisions that we have to make to create a design. But one that we can choose to do is make an arrangement using color. And there's so many different possibilities with that choice alone. So I chose to try to do something blue. There's not a lot of blue flowers available to us, but I was really lucky that I had agapanthus that I could use today. I love agapanthus because they are blue, and there's lots of different shades of blue, but they're also pretty available in California. There are parts of the country where you would never get agapanthus. And this is Echium. You'll see this everywhere. It's drought tolerant. It's practically a California native. You see it on hillsides everywhere. And if you cut this, I bet you'll find that it won't hold up for you. But the secret is quick dip. So these are the blooming spikes. They're just starting to open. It's a good time to cut them. And I'm gonna add them using the grid that I made with the bowl tape. They'll help to support these stems and keep them where I want them. And I'm using the grid to guide me and tell me where I'm placing them. So I don't want to put the same flower. I don't want to put this two different flowers in the same grid. I'm going to go to, this is an iris from our garden. Feel your iris. Sometimes there's two blossoms in one iris. So I'll show you down in here. I can feel it right down in here. I'll find a second bud. Can you see that? So when this one fades, I'll pop it off and allow this one to open up. So I've got double my money in iris with this. So I cut these out of my garden, out of our garden here. I've been buying iris bulbs from bulb companies and planting them for several years. So we get quite a crop of iris lately. And they're nice and open because it's actually quite warm up here today. I'm not sure what it's like in Los Altos, but we're up to like 75. It feels like a summer day. And then borage. Borage in your garden is wonderful. It's an edible flower, so if you've never tried it, do try it. Put it in your salads. It tastes like honey. So I'll add a bit of borage. It's a lovely blue color also. So we have a study in blue. Once I get all the stems in, they will support each other and they will all stand up so they aren't flopping. So the cube is really popular, and something that cracks me up is the cube is the #1 selling arrangement at all Costco's in the country. They make cubes by the score and they sell tons of them. So here's my blue cube for you. And those are the arrangements that I plan to do for you today. I hope there are some ideas that you can use in that presentation. And again, it's really a pleasure to be with you. It's the biggest compliment. And I really appreciate all that you're doing in garden clubs. You know, OFAD is a member of the California Garden Clubs Incorporated. And I've been involved with garden clubs all my life since I started in floral design. And I really admire and cherish all the great works that the garden clubs do for our country and for the world, actually. So we'll put these back so you can see them all together. And if you have any questions I can answer for you, I'll be glad to. And I hope you enjoyed the presentation.
Hey, everybody, just ask your questions in turn of Steve and yourselves.
There's a question, where can you get that?
Where can you get these?
Yes.
If you want to get these, they're $45 and I can send some to you. So you just let me know. You can send me an email or shoot me your email and I'll send these to you. So if I have your address, you can send me a check and I'll get one in the mail to you. I love them. I have them everywhere.
What if we have a group order? After next meeting, take orders next meeting.
If you want to do a group order, then that's good too. And in the next couple of meetings, you know, I might even deliver them for you.
Can I ask, with your nip and tuck? Can you
nip and tuck?
You seem to cut it down very low. Are you covering the top of the cut part when you tuck the other thing in?
Yes.
Okay, so you aren't seeing a cut piece?
No.
Okay.
No, and that's a great question, because if you cut on an angle, your cut will never show. You'll never see it. But that's a really good point. Is you don't want to leave blunt ends showing in your designs either, because the person viewing will think that it broke, right? So good point.
Another question. Can you use this to remove?
I had a question about the use of Listerine. Does it work to reduce the smell of any of these scented leaves, in particular Artemisia, sagebrush?
Artemisia?
Sagebrush? Yeah. Yes. Try it. You know,
yeah.
I don't know that I have used it on Artemisia, but it works on allium if it smells like onion. It works on cabbage. You know how strong this cabbage smell can become. It works on marigold. It works on rue. I imagine it will work on Artemisia.
I'm going to try it. Thank you.
Yes. You can put a cap full of it in your bucket water and mist it with a 10% solution.
Steve, are you familiar with burning the stems of milky plants or flowers?
I am. And what it does is it cauterizes the end of the stem, so the latex isn't able to come out of the stem. If the latex is coming out of the stem, then you're losing fluid, so your material may wilt. So it is a treatment that we will do in professional floristry. You can use a gas flame, a torch, a candle, any kind of flame. You just cauterize the end of the stem for a second or two, and that will help seal it. But I'll tell you, all of the treatments that you've ever heard of, you know, things like alum, alcohol, vodka, gin, vinegar, any other treatment, stem dip treatment that you've ever heard of, is replaced with quick dip.
Okay, wow. Thank you. And if you deliver the clippers to us, let me know in advance and I'll make you some Irish scones. Okay.
And I can make some lemon curd.
Wow.
and we'll have some clotted cream and tea and we'll be all set.
We'll have it all. You can't have scones without a cup of chow.
Nope. Go wrong there.
Okay.
Stephen, can you remind us of the plant you put in your first arrangement that you took the leaves off? You said Canna?
Canna. This one right here?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a miniature canna.
Oh, like a canna lily.
Yeah, C-A-N-N-A.
Oh,
okay.
Okay.
These are the seed pods. Isn't that cool?
Wow, yeah.
Can you see that all right?
I thought that those didn't.
Look at it, look.
Are we all on there?
Oh, that's cool.
Oh, the pods are really cool.
Yep.
Wow.
I haven't.
Look at those.
I've not seen those.
Where do you get that? Where do you get that, at the florist?
Well, I got it in the garden.
Oh, we need to go to your garden.
We have it here in our gardens.
Okay.
I'll bring you a plant when I come down.
Oh.
You'll have to remind me though.
Well, we remind you.
No, we'll have too many things on our list.
Could you also, go ahead.
You go.
Could you spell the name of the Japanese maker of the pruners?
Asami.
ARS is who they come from.
ARS. Oh, wow. Okay.
They are accepted by the Sogetsu school as a Hasami. They're made by ARS Corporation. It's shear number 140. Made in Japan. They are made with samurai steel.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
Well, now that is strong.
Just, yeah, I like it.
Yeah.
What I like about them is they're really easy to work with. They're a lot more comfortable than Felco's or any other pruning shear that I've ever used. I really like them. See, I have 3 pair right here.
Yeah, they're all different.
Do we have any more questions? All right.
Lovely.
Thank you.
Beautiful.
Thank you so very much.
Thank you so much, Steve.
It was a pleasure to be with you again. And I hope to see you in person soon.
You will, and thank you so much. It's a wonderful, they're beautiful arrangements, just gorgeous. Thank you.
I'll bring those down for you too.
Okay. Well, I'll meet you at the car. Thank you.
We'll have curbside pickup, right?
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Stephen, can I interject one more question about the borage?
Sure.
Because it seems to wilt really easily. So did you say you also quick dip that one?
Yes, I quick dipped everything. And I agree with you. I've never been able to get this to hold up. But when I tried the quick dip, it did. When I cut in the morning and I use quick dip right away, it holds up really well.
Okay.
Where I come from, we serve the flowers in gin and tonics.
Yeah, gin and tonic works sometimes too.
They're beautiful, floating in the top of a drink.
Oh, they are?
Yes.
They're such a pretty flower.
Yes.
Blossom. See? And tastes like honey.
Yes.
Yeah, beautiful.
Yeah.
Stephen, after you've quick dipped things, for example, you wouldn't be able to, you shouldn't cut off the blossoms and then eat them because we don't know what quick dip consists of, correct?
I'm not dead yet.
But you don't normally eat your quick dipped flowers, okay?
No, I don't.
No.
Not normally. But I don't think it's poisonous. I don't think it would go through the stem.
No.
Quick dip.
Quick dip. Oh, quick dip probably is.
Quick dip
I wouldn't.
alum the same.
I wouldn't recommend it.
Yeah.
But I've done it, and I'm still here.
Somebody had a question about quick dip and alum.
Yeah, what's the difference?
They're going to do the same thing, but the difference is this is a professional prepared product, and this is what you'll get in the grocery store.
Do they work as well as each other?
For hydrangea and pithy stems, alum will work just fine. If you don't have quick dip replaces alum. But if you don't have quick dip, then have some of this around.
So there's many varieties.
I keep this in the bathroom too. You know, it's the same thing as a styptic if you cut yourself shaving.
That's it there.
Smooth blade.
Okay, good to know.
Blade.
It causes,
Braided blade.
if you put it on a wound, it causes the blood to clot.
He's charging 45.
Free shipping.
All right, floral and shaving tips, all in one lecture. Thank you.
Yes. Hints from Heloise. All right, thank you.
Thank you, Steve. Look forward to seeing you.
I'll see you soon.
You too. So what do I do now? How do I get back to? I leave him.
You should exit something.
So